Hi guys, and welcome to this session on web scraping by Intellipaat. Web scraping is a technique used to extract large amounts of data from websites. So in today's session, we'll show you how to use Python to do web scraping. But before we get into all of that, please subscribe to our channel to never miss an update from Intellipaat. Now, let's talk about today's agenda. We start today's session up by talking about what is web scraping, which is followed by a brief introduction to web scraping libraries like BeautifulSoup and Scrapy. Then we talk about how you can install BeautifulSoup as well as Python parser LXML on your system. Then we show you how to create BeautifulSoup objects using an input HTML. And then finally, we wrap today's session up by searching a tree and getting the required output. Also guys, we do provide end-to-end certification training on Python. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now, let's get into the session.
First of all, let's begin by understanding what web scraping is. So suppose you have a website or you have a link for a website which is containing some information that's getting updated regularly, and you wish to store that information either locally or in a database or anywhere, or you wish to access that information and then perform some manipulation on it. Now usually, and before web scraping, you should usually check if that website has an open API to provide that data, so that you can just request the data using a URL endpoint. However, sometimes these websites either don't have a web API or don't have the data that you want in the form of a web API. So in that case, what you do is you parse the entire HTML content of their website as a string and then extract information from it that you need. You can then store it or manipulate it however you wish to, and that's what's known as web scraping. Now Python has a lot of packages for web scraping. So one of the packages that we can use is called BeautifulSoup. It's now in its fourth version, so I believe BeautifulSoup 4.4 is the current version. And another one is Scrapy. Now Scrapy is less for web scraping and more for building web spiders or web crawlers. Now this could be considered an entire framework in itself, as it allows you to create spiders by inheriting classes and then telling it how to parse it, as you can see in the example right here. And this could be useful when you're creating a web crawler and you wish to crawl multiple pages. But if you wish to crawl a single page, if you wish to create a web scraper for just getting information from a single page that's being run, I think executed several times a day, such as a stock market website, for example, that's getting updated hourly. So you can use BeautifulSoup, in my opinion. Now Scrapy is also very good, but it's more powerful than BeautifulSoup in the sense that it is used to create web spiders or web scrapers or web crawlers, whatever you call them. So if you wish to learn Scrapy, it's the documentation page that you need to go to. There are several tutorials on its documentation page. There are examples, so on and so forth. In this session, we'll be looking at BeautifulSoup because it's very easy to get started with, and it's quite easy to use as well. So now let us take a look at what can we do with BeautifulSoup. So with BeautifulSoup, we can, if we have an HTML page offline stored, we can either parse that or we can parse an HTML page from a website. Now, parsing an HTML page from a web address, that needs you to get the string content of the HTML page. So for instance, as you can see, this is the string content of the HTML page. This will be returned as a string. Then you can parse it and then you can use it with BeautifulSoup. So before we get started with BeautifulSoup, one thing that you need to understand is that you need to install all the dependencies in your project. Now I'll be using pipenv, that's pipenv, to create an environment and then install all the packages that I need. Have any of you worked with pipenv before? If you have, then you can message in the chat box. No. Okay. So let me give you a brief introduction of what pipenv is, why do we use it, and how do we use it. So basically, suppose you are creating a project in Python using external libraries like BeautifulSoup. There are many others like Pandas, NumPy, Django REST framework. All of these packages are available inside Python, inside the Python, they are not available inside the Python standard library. So you need to download them from the internet and then use them.
Just a quick info guys, Intellipaat does provide end-to-end certification training on Python. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now let's get back to the session.
Now you can download them, but it could be the case that these packages have dependencies themselves. That is, they require certain packages to be downloaded as well, and those packages require certain packages to download themselves. And then those packages might even have versions. So for instance, let's say Django, your project only works on Django 2.1, and there were some changes in Django 2.2 which you cannot support as of this moment. Now, let's say that another person, or maybe you yourself, wishes to work with Django 2.3 to create a new website. Now, you would either have to uninstall Django 2.1 and then install Django 2.3, or you would have to create a new environment and install the Django version that you wish to use in that. So this is where pip env comes in. So what it does is it creates a virtual environment. All the packages that you install in this environment can only be used in this when you enter this environment. So think of it as a container or a virtualized environment for you to install your Python packages. So for instance, let's say that I wish to, first of all, you need to create an environment, and for that you can type pip and start or pip and shell or whatever. I usually type pip and shell, and then you press enter, and it says here creating a virtual environment. Now this is important because everything that we install in this virtual environment will only be able to use in this environment. We won't be able to use it outside this environment. So it's creating a virtual environment, getting all the files required for it. Before pipenv, there used to be virtual env. So now we have pipenv. Virtual env is what is used underneath pip env, but pip env could be thought of as an abstraction. Now you can see creating pip file. This file contains all the packages that your project might. So as you can see, we have created a pip env and an environment, and as you can see, this is the
from where you have to run this command, because that's saying not recognizing this command.
Okay. So first of all, I'm everything. So if you wish to run this command, first you need to install pip env. So in your PC or in your Mac or whatever you have, type pip install pip env. I'm sorry, install. Yeah. And when you press enter, yeah, mine is already installed, so it's not going to say that, but you can install it. Is it installing?
It's struck at 65%. Yeah, it's doing something.
Yeah, but it'll install. It'll take some time, but it'll install, and then you can use the command pip env. Okay.
Anirudh,
Yeah.
I have a question over here.
Sure.
So we generally use pip install. Till now, we have installed so many libraries, even scikit-learn as the TensorFlows. So we have
Yeah.
used pip install TensorFlow.
Yes.
So what is the
Yes.
difference between pip install TensorFlow and pip
env.
environment
Yeah.
env? What is the difference between?
Sure. Okay. So the difference between them is that if I wish to use TensorFlow version 2.1 for one project and TensorFlow version 2.3 for another project, with pip I cannot do that because in pip packages are installed globally. So for instance, let's say that I've been using for a project BeautifulSoup version 3, and now suddenly I have a new project and I wish to use BeautifulSoup number 4, version 4. So because of having different versions, we need to either uninstall BeautifulSoup version 3 and then install BeautifulSoup version 4. In that case, the previous project that we just created with BeautifulSoup version 3, which was running, will stop working. So to avoid this problem and install these packages per project basis. So for instance, I wish to use BeautifulSoup version 4 for this project. So when I install it using pip env, only only this project will be able to use that version. So for instance, let me show you. First, let me enter the environment. So as you can see, it didn't create another environment because it had already created one, and it shows here that's the label of the environment or unique identifier. Now if I install pip env install BeautifulSoup 4, and then I press enter. Now it'll start installing. It's installed and now it's locking, which is checking all the files, and it's done. Now if I can show you just one thing, this is control O, yeah, pip file. So as you can see, it's showing the version of Python that I'm using. It's showing that I'm using BeautifulSoup, and since I didn't specify any version, it's going to install the latest version, which is this star. So now if I wish to take this project with me on any other computer and use it, all I have to do is install pip env on that computer and run pip env space install. It'll create the same environment that I have right now with same packages that I have, and according to this, like BeautifulSoup, the latest version, and it'll use Python 3.7, and it'll start working on its own. If I didn't do this, then the problem would be that the another PC might not have the same versions of all the dependencies that I might have. So they might have BeautifulSoup version 3, version 2, maybe they do not have it, maybe they have a different version of Python, so on and so forth. So you can think of it as as a way of creating an environment, or you can think of it as a way of creating a container in which your project can be developed. So I hope that clears it up.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Just a quick info guys, Intellipaat does provide end-to-end certification training on Python. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now let's get back to the session.
So, okay, now that we have installed the BeautifulSoup library, another thing that we need to worry about is parsers. So parsers are basically how your BeautifulSoup library, or parsers is basically, you can think of it as a package used by the BeautifulSoup library to look at the HTML content and then create an HTML tree out of it, or parse it, or understand the structure of the HTML page. So whenever you go to an HTML page in Chrome or whatever browser, what you can do is right click on inspect, and as you can see, this tree like structure. This is how HTML usually works. It is a tree of nodes nested into one another in a hierarchy. So to understand how these relationships and parse all of this, we use parsers. Now BeautifulSoup supports many parsers. I think its documentation page has, yeah, here it is. So it supports the HTML dot parser, which is Python's inbuilt library. So you don't have to install anything if you wish to use the HTML parser that is inbuilt in Python. You can also use LXML HTML parser, which we'll be using in this tutorial because it's very fast and very lenient. Now, when I say lenient, it means that if the HTML content that we're getting is not properly formatted, that is, some of the tags have been opened but not closed, so it's not completely valid HTML. There are some bugs or errors in it. The LXML parser will try to rectify those mistakes and present the tree as it is, instead of throwing an error and saying that HTML is not well formatted, because the HTML content that we're getting may very well be out of our hands because we'll be getting it from the internet. There's also HTML5 lib and LXML's XML parser. Now, the reason why we won't be using HTML5 lib also, although it's very useful, is because it could be very slow, as you can see here. And so this could be a problem. On the other hand, LXML's XML parser is used to parse XML. Right now we'll be parsing HTML, and it's very fast and lenient. Python's inbuilt HTML parser is also very good. However, I'll suggest that you use LXML whenever you can, because, well, first of all, it's quite fast and speed is of the importance when we're building a project, and it's very lenient, so it can rectify some of the mistakes that we get. So that'd be very useful. So first thing that we need to do is install the LXML parser, and I'll install another package called requests. This is a package that is used to send requests to a website or a web server and get the response in as a string or however you wish to get it. So what I'll be doing is firstly installing pip env, and you can install multiple packages in the same command. So I wish to install lxml and requests, requests with an s. So don't forget the s because it might install another package named request. Now when I press enter, so lxml is installed, requests is now installing. This is also installed, and now it's locking. Locking basically means checking if the dependencies are fulfilled and then creating a hash out of it and then locking it. It also creates a pip env.log file, as you can see it's mentioned right here. And this is what contains the current version of our pip env file. How it works, all the things that pip env needs to create dependencies. So locking is a process. It might take some time because we've installed 2 packages at once. So after it finishes locking, we can start with program.
Hi Anirudh, this is
Yeah,
Hemant.
yeah.
Actually, I joined around 7:10. Okay,
Oh,
so could you let me know that why we use web scraper?
web scraper. Okay, fine. So many websites, they contain some information that we might need in a project. So for instance, let's say you're creating a project for predicting the stock market tomorrow. Now for that you need some data. So you can get the data from an API that is called a web API. Many stock market websites do provide web APIs, which basically are you can think of them as URL endpoints, which you can send a request to and get the data in a format that you wish to get it in, like JSON or XML. However, you might come across a situation where the data that you want from the website that you want it from does not have the web API that you can request the data from. In that case, you usually use a web scraper. Now, a web scraper is basically just a Python program that gets all the data from the website and then parses it and allows you to extract information from that web page. So, for instance, let's say that I wish to take the title from this website. Now I can, if it has an API, I can request that API to provide me the title, or what I can do more generally is just to create a web API, just to create a web scraper, get the information of the HTML page that is returned when I hit this website, and then parse it and then just extract this information. Then I can do whatever I wish with it, which is basically save it in a CSV file, text file, database, manipulate it, or do whatever I wish to do with it. So for instance, to continue with the stock market example, let's say there's a website that updates the stock market information per second. So it's instantaneous, and you wish to get that information from that website. So what you can do is
Okay,
you can create a scraper.
okay. So thinking that suppose if you have not any web API for that, so you can go direct over website over there and you can collect your data what you want.
Yeah, you can write a Python code. That code will fetch information from that website or the web page and then extract the information that you need.
Okay, okay, okay. Got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Anirudh, this is Sanjeev. So, my question is now, for example, the website which you are showing on screen right now. So,
Yeah.
when I reading a screen content or maybe a website content, if I
Yes.
want to read a specific content, like on the website, it is somewhere it is written as in Chinese language. For
Yes.
example, I need to read that particular targeted contents only. How
Yes.
do we do?
So for instance, you wish to just read this content. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically what you do is just as we'll be doing in this session is you create, you install the BeautifulSoup library, then you write the code to get this entire HTML content. This is loading. Yeah. After that you parse it which is not really difficult to do because it allows you to do it very easily. And then you traverse down the HTML tree. So for instance, this Chinese content is inside a class of simple, inside a UL element. UL stands for unordered list. You can think of it as a list with bullet points. So in a list with a class attribute of simple, so we just tell the BeautifulSoup library that, okay, there is a list on this page with a class of simple. I want you to extract all the information from it. And you do that, and then you can do whatever you wish to do with it. Now you can do it with any of the web pages, and it doesn't really have to be an unordered list. You can do it with images, you can do it with videos, you can do it with paragraphs, you can do it with whatever we show, as I'll show you in this session.
So, sorry, I'm again having a question. So, for example, if I'm reading HTML content or any of the website,
Yeah.
and it is all showing as a text or some graphical images. So,
Yes.
how do I come to know that there are some kind of tables or maybe reports are
Oh,
attached along with that, and
sure.
I need
So,
to extract the data from that?
sure. So the first thing is, when you are thinking of scrapping a website, the first thing that you need to do is you need to go to that website and look at its HTML content to figure out how to get the information that you need, because they haven't provided a web API. It's not just as simple as just taking a web URL, sending a request and getting the response. So you have to do a bit of a research in this department. So you go to the website. Let's say, for instance, this is the first time I'm visiting this documentation website, and I decide that I want to extract this information as you suggested. Then I look at the HTML content of this page like this. Now whatever content that you wish to extract, there, because of the developer tools in Chrome or any other tools, what you can do is you can click on this button which says select an element in the page to inspect it, and then go to the content that you wish to extract. So I wish to extract these, yeah. So I wish to extract these Chinese links. So what I can do is just simply look, okay, so I wish to extract these links. They are inside inside an unordered list with a class simple. Inside them there is a list item. Inside them there is a link, and I wish to extract the text of those links. Now you can do it this way, and it's usually a better idea to be very precise about what you wish to extract. So if you just said that I wish to extract an unordered list, that would create a problem, because there may be another unordered list on the web page, and you will have to then parse a lot of content just to get these three information. So be very precise and look at the content of the website before scrapping it. That way you can understand how you need to begin scrapping it. What are the elements that you need to understand? What are the classes that we need to reference in order to get the data that we wish to? Does that answer your question?
Yes, Anirudh. And will you be showing us a code or maybe a hint of that? So
Yeah.
once I choose which content I want to read, I can target my Python program to read from that link. So
Yeah, so for
will,
this session, I'll be showing you some of the code so that you can extract information from a website. So you don't have to worry about that. This session I'll show you. Okay.
okay.
Just a quick info guys, Intellipaat does provide end-to-end certification training on Python. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now let's get back to the session.
Okay, so this is what we have right now, and let's begin with our session today. Okay, so for this session, because we need to get some information from an HTML page, what I have for you is yeah, so an HTML page. Here it is. So this is the HTML page that we'll be scrapping. You can think of it as a blog. So I'm sure you guys have visited several blogs. So this is one of the blogs. It contains posts. Each post will have a title that will have a link to a full on blog post, and this is the summary of the title. So when you click on the link, it will it will go to the entire blog post. So for that, first thing I'll need to do is I'll need to run a server. Now it's perfectly all right if you don't have a server. You can use any other website or anything that you wish to. I'm creating a server because it makes it easy for us to send the request, get the information from the request, parse it, and then use it. Now, if I don't have a server, then I'll have to open this HTML file in Python, which isn't always the case that you can do it, because if it's a website that you don't own, and so you don't have the HTML content, you need to get it from the website. So for that, I'll be using something called Light Server. So it's checking the version of the Light server that I have. Yeah, it's working. So the Light server is working, and this is the server that I have. Now, if you don't have Light server installed, what you can do is first install Node.js. This is Node.js. You can go there and always remember to download the LTS version. LTS stands for long-term, I think, long-term service. So you can download it and install it. It's installed like any other package that you can find online, and then you just write npm install -g. -g stands for global, so it will install it on your PC so that any project can use it. lite-fervr. I already have it installed, so I won't be running this command. And so yeah, so now what I'll be doing is I'll start the Light server in the current directory. Make sure that you are in the current directory. Mine is in the D drive web scraping directory. So I do it, and because the name of the HTML file is index.html, I get this. So this is the content that I'll get. Now what I'll be doing in this session is I'll be getting this content, parsing it, and then getting the information about the title, the summary, and the link of this title. So this is article1.html and article2.html and so on and so forth. And after getting the content, I'll store all of this in a CSV file, because usually when you're doing web scraping, you are getting the information from the web server in an HTML format, parsing it, and then storing it in some form or the other. So like a CSV file, an Excel sheet, a database, a small SQLite database, or a JSON format, any way you wish to do it. So let's begin. So the first thing that I wish for you to understand is that you need to have installed all the packages that I mentioned. So these were BeautifulSoup 4, requests, and LXML. So after installing these packages, what you can do is I have this HTML file because I wish to show you how to parse an HTML file, and many websites online either don't allow for their website or web page to be crawled or scrapped in a way.
So Aniruddha, one question here: this Node.js package, do you need to install in the same directory, or it can be installed in default program files directory?
Default program files directory. You can install it anywhere you wish to. There is no problem. So Sunil has asked, where can I get the HTML file? So for this session, I've created this HTML file myself. If you wish to, I'll ask the trader to upload it in Git so that you can get it. But you don't necessarily need this HTML file. You can use any HTML file that you can get. The point that I'm trying to get across in this video is how you can use BeautifulSoup and Parsers and all of that to scrap any website. So because I'm using my own created HTML file, I'll show you how to use it. But you can use it with any website, provided that they give you permission to scrape it. Now, scraping is you can say it's a difficult thing, because when you scrape a website, usually those websites don't allow users to scrape their website. So if you have like seen the structure of an HTML page, you would have seen the structure of a directory that contains the HTML pages for a website. They have a robots.txt file. This file contains a list of the files and folders that the website owner or the owner of the server does not wish the crawler to crawl. Now, if you're creating a web crawler, then this might be a concern. But since you are creating a web scraper, you don't need to do that. Another thing is that when you create a web scraper, what you do is you send a request to the web server. Now, this means certain load on the bandwidth of that web server. So whenever you are scraping a website, do make sure that either you have the permission to scrape that website, or you're not doing anything labor intensive on that website, so that it could essentially bring that website to a halt. Most of the time it's fine, but many a times there could even be legal actions, because the website could get down. It could be your fault. So when you're scraping a website, always make sure that that you are not doing something very intensive that ends up hanging the website, and creating multiple instances of your scraper and then scraping the website. Or another thing that you need to worry about is that that you're not scraping something that the person does not want you to scrape. So just make sure that you're not doing that. And another thing, when just scraping it, do make sure that the information that you're scraping could not be gotten from a API, because if it can be, then it's actually very easy to just get the information by requesting it from a URL instead of scraping an entire web page or website. So
Anirudh, sorry for interruption. So when I say that if I'm reading a website or if I'm scrapping a website, how do I know that whether I have permissions to scrap the data from that website or not?
yeah, many websites actually, so you can look at their robots.txt file. Many websites do provide that. So if you're creating a crawler using Scrappy or creating a parser, what you can do is you look at the robots.txt file. This is one of the most easiest things to do. If you're looking at the robots.txt file and they have mentioned the name of the HTML file that you are going to scrap, and they have mentioned that they do not wish for this file to be scrapped or crawled or whatever, then what you can do is you can just not do that, because that would be against the wishes of the creator of the website or the maintainer of the website. So don't do that. And yeah, that's the first way to do it. And secondly, like I said, if you are using a web crawler, yeah.
Sorry, where can I check that?
So in a website, when you're crawling it, you can request it. So for instance, usually it's in the root of the directory. So if you wish to, you can just go robots.txt. Right now it's showing you what are the robots.txt file and how to use it. So let's say that there is a robots.txt file, robots.txt. This, if it's in the root of the directory, then you can just replace the localhost 3000 with the name of the website. So for instance, www.mywebsite.com/robots.txt. So you can get it this way. Our website doesn't have it because it's just a local website and only I'll be doing it. So you don't have to worry about that here. This is exactly the reason why I'm using a self-created website for demonstration instead of going on a website that I do not have any permission to access.
So this scrapping activity you can do both on response page as well as request page, or only the response page, the output data?
So you can do it with so there's no request and response as per, because when you are sending the request, you're getting the response as an HTML page. So this is the data that you'll be getting as a string, and this is the data that we'll be using, like parsing it, so you get it as a response from the website. Yeah.
Okay.
So okay.
So I mean, the reason why I was asking, there are situations where you submit the form data to the server to get the response. So that form data itself, you can do the scrapping, or the response what you get in turn on that you can do the scrapping.
Okay, so the first thing is the form data have nothing to do with scrapping. Scrapping can only be done with the information that's being shown on a website. So for
Okay.
instance, yeah, so form data you can submit it as a user, but for that you will have to log into the website, then fill in the information, then click submit. Now, if you wish to automate this process, this could be done using other packages like Selenium and other automated automation packages are available. For scrapping, what we do is we take a look at the website, we look at the content that's already present there, then we send a request, get the response as the HTML page is string representation, and then we parse it and then extract the information. So forms don't really fit into this equation. If you wish to
Okay.
create a script or a program that submits a form automatically for you, for that you can use Selenium and other web automation libraries. But Beautiful Soup is not really for that.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so let's begin with scraping the website. So the first thing, what you do is you create a new Python file. I'm going to call it scrape.py. Py is the Python extension. And now I'll be importing. So from bs4, which is the name of the package, import.
What is this editor you are using?
I'm using Visual Studio Code, VS Code. So
Oh,
yeah, you can use it. It's very good actually. So I suggest that if you are doing something important, you can use Visual Studio Code. This is the information about the editor.
okay. Till
And
now
I'm
we
also
are
using
using Spider, and uh,
Spider and the
Jupyter,
Anaconda, Jupyter Notebook,
Anaconda,
Anaconda. Yeah.
Jupyter.
So
Jupyter.
yeah, Jupyter Notebooks. Yeah. So they are also very good. So you can use them as well, but they are more suited for data science and data analysis purposes. Here we're just extracting the information and then storing it in a CSV file. So I'll be using Visual Studio Code, and I'm also using an extension in the Visual Studio Code library. It's called Python. So Python extension. This is why I'm getting these code completion hints. Okay. So after doing that,
For Python, which ID do you use?
Visual
for
Studio.
Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio is a full-blown IDE. Visual Studio Code is like 24 to 30 megabytes, and it's very small and it's quite useful. Visual Studio is more useful when you're developing an entire application using C Sharp or any other Microsoft technologies.
Okay,
Okay, so if you're interested in using this, you can download it free from Microsoft's website. Visual Studio Code is the name.
thanks.
Okay. So this is this is the class that we've imported, Beautiful Soup, from the package BS4. Now we'll create a new instance of the Beautiful Soup class. So you can name it anything you want. I'll be naming it Soup. Now Beautiful Soup. Now as you can see, it has two arguments that I need to pass in it. Markup, which is basically the string representation of our HTML page. So for that, I'll use the requests library that we have installed. After that, req requests dot get, and inside the get, I'll paste in the web address. So it's http://localhost 3000, and when I get it, I want the text prompt. Text basically means just give me the string representation of the entire HTML page. So just give it to me as a string. And now I need to pass the the parser's name. So I need to pass LXML. So you can use LXML. If you are using any other parser, you need to look up the parameter that you need to pass. Inside the Beautiful Soup library documentation page, you can go, I think it's somewhere down here. It'll show you how to use any other parser. Yeah. So I'm using LXML. So this is how you use it. If you wish to use the built-in HTML parser inside Python, you need to pass this parameter. For XML, you need to pass this, and for HTML5 lib, you need to pass this. That is after installing HTML5 link. If you're wishing to use the built-in HTML parser, you don't need to install anything. However, it could be slower than LXML. So after doing that, let me just print soup. Let's see what this gives us. So let's run this py, and the name of the file is scrape.py. So scrape.py. Now, if you are using Linux or Macintosh, you need to type Python entirely. But on Windows, after I think Python version 3.4 or 3.6, you can type just py and it will run. So I can do this, and this is the entire string representation of the website. Now, one thing that you need to notice is that it's not formatted very nicely, so it's very hard to read. So you don't know where the body starts, where the body ends, and what are all the tags that are inside the body tag. So for that, what you can do is there's a method called prettify. So after using prettify, what you can do is scrape, and as you can see, it's formatted nicely. Now we can see where each tag starts and where each tag ends. It's indented nicely. Now after this, since we don't need this, and now what you do is you go to the website and you look at the structure of the HTML page so as to figure out how to extract the information that you wish to extract. So what I want to do is what I always do is usually I take the information from one of the if I wish to get information from multiple sites. So for instance, let's say that I wish to get the information from like for instance, I wish to get information from multiple HTML tags. So here we have multiple posts, and I need to extract the information of all the posts. What you can do is you can firstly just get the information from one post, which I have here, extract the summary, the title, and the link, and then you can just replace that one with multiple. So what I'll do here is this. First, I'll show you how to extract information from a single blog post or article. So if I wish to get the title and the summary and the link of the first blog post or the latest blog post, if it's ordered ascendingly, then what I can do is I can just type POSTS, or you can also type articles, ARTICLES, is equals to soup dot find. Now we'll be using find and not find all. Find and find all are a little different. So I'll be using find. Find all will return all the instances of this. So I want a div. Now how do I know I want a div is when we look at the HTML content, I want this entire post. This is a div with a class of post. Now, so if I wish to use it, what I do is I pass in, okay, I want the information inside a div tag, the first div tag that you find that has the class, and we'll be using a keyworded argument named class underscore. The reason we are not using class is because class is already a keyword. So then we name the class, which is I think post. Let me check again, post, yeah. And then print article. So if I run this again, now you can see we have extracted just the latest post. It is the latest post because we're getting the first blog post title and it's appearing at the top of the page. Now let's see what the information that we need to extract is. Yeah. So the first thing we wish is the title of the blog post. Second thing would be the summary, and third thing would be the link. So the link is basically this. Right now I don't have an HTML page for article 1 and article 2 because they won't be necessary here. So, okay, let's look at the information that we wish to extract. So the title is inside an H3 with the title, with the class title. Inside that there is an A tag that has the the text as the title that we wish to extract. So to use that, we need to do is title title is equals to article dot. Now you can access them as properties on an object. So what we want is to use the articles h3 with the a which is the link. So we want to extract information from the posts h3's link. So we can do this using article, which is the entire post, then h3, which is the heading, and inside that we have a title, we have a link with the text that we wish to extract. So we go dot a, and we wish to extract the text. We don't wish to get all the information about the tag, so we type text. And let me just print it to see if it's working correctly. Whenever you are working with data like this, you should always make sure that you're getting the correct data. So blog post one title, so we're getting the information, exactly the information that we wished. Now what we need is the summary. So the summary we can get the same way, just look at the HTML content. So it's in the summary that we want is inside a p tag inside the post. P stands for paragraph. So very similar, just go to article dot p dot, don't forget to use the text attribute. This is the text that we have, blog post one summary, and I think this is the one that we'll be getting if we check summary. And let's try it again, scrape.py blog post one summary. So we're getting the information that we need. Now we need the link. Now link is a little different because let me show you. Link is equals to, so the link is very much, we get the link very much the same way that we got the title, but here we don't wish to get the text, we wish to get the value of the href attribute. Href stands for hyperlink reference, so it gives us this. We should have slash article underscore one dot html, but to get that we don't use the text property, we use the href attribute. For that we go article dot h3 dot a, and now we want the href attribute. So we access it like we are accessing a key in a dictionary. Now let's print that and see if I'm getting it. So slash article one dot html, so we're getting the link as well. Now what we want is we want this information, title, summary, and link for all the posts. So remember, like I said, that we first get the information for one post and then we create the HTML file so that we create the Python code that we can get this information for all the articles that we need. So for that, what we can do is we can use if for.
Just a quick info guys, Intellipaat does provide end-to-end certification training on Python. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now let's get back to the session.
Anirudh, now for example, when I'm reading that link, I found that within that link there is some like values or maybe a data set is there, or like a data. Yeah. So how do I read that data?
So like inside the link there is data. So for instance, when you click the link, it opens another page and the data is on that page. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Now, for example, this will give me some kind of rows and columns, which gives me some kind of data at that website, and I want to get the data from there?
So you wish to get the data. So for instance, are you asking that if I have a table of data on a website, how do I extract information from that table? If I'm understanding this correctly.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So it's basically the same process. I mean exactly the same. So let me show you. Okay, index.html. So the tables are created using, I think, the table tag. Then you create the table row with the table data, and the name of the table data could be anything like this, simple data. Now usually when you are using a web scraper, you look at the website, and most probably when you're looking at a website, they have some classes on those table data and table rows and tables, so that they can apply some CSS styling to it. Now we can use this. Let's say the name of the class is data. Similarly, I create another row, and the class is data, sample data 2. Let's see if it's showing up on the website. So this is the table that you were talking about. Now if I wish to get the data, what I can do is I can just tell, let me just show you this here. Okay, so I can just say soup dot find a tag that is table data with the class name as, what's the class name I gave? Data. Yeah. So this is the data that we'll get, and I want the text attribute of it. Let me see if it's working. Py is scrape.py. So we are getting the data for a single row. Now let's say that there are uh, 3 rows, and I wish to get data from all the 3 rows. So what I can do, like we were going to do in the in the demo, which we'll do, but for now let's address the query that you raised. So for data in soup.find, and instead of find we do find all. That way we can get all the tags that are of td, which is this, with a class of data. So we get all these 3, and then what I do is I just print data dot text. So as you can see, I've extracted the information from the table. So you can do this with any of the websites. The first thing that you need to do is you need to take a look at the HTML content to figure out how you are going to tackle this problem. Now it could be the case that they do not have this class. In that case, what you can do is just take the information from all the table data elements. There are only 3, and you can just use that. But in a large website, they usually do have a class attribute, so you can use that.
Got it. Got it. Thanks. And Anirudh, now for example, when this is like I'm simply read a for loop and read all the table content. I want
Yes.
to save it in like a CSV file.
Yes,
for a
I'll
later
be showing
use.
you that. Yeah, I'll be showing you that. Okay, so the thing that we're going to do is get information from all the posts. So for that, what we need to do is we need to first find all. So here we are using soup.find. What I can do is I can just click save it here. Okay, and so for article in soup.find, or after we find all the div items with the class post, this is what we have. And indent it properly. Yes. So now let me just print it to show you if it's working correctly. So we'll be printing the title, the summary, and the link, I think it's called, yeah, so py scrape.py, and as you can see, we're getting the information that we need from all the posts. So there are 6 blog posts. We're getting the title, then we're getting the summary, and then we're getting the links. So it's working correctly. Now the final thing that we need to do is we need to store it in a CSV file. Now thankfully for us, Python has a built-in library for scraping for dealing with CSV files. So what we can do right now is, as you can see, there is no CSV file here right now, so we'll have to create one as well. So we can first import CSV. This is a built-in Python package, so you don't need to install it. Now what you do is you create a CSV file. So I think you do it with what, CSV underscore file equals to open. The name of the file will be storing it in a file called data.csv. Now you can name it anything you wish to. I want to call it data.csv. And the second thing will pass is the mode. Now we wish to write to this CSV file. So if you wish to write to a CSV file, use the W flag. If you want to read, you don't pass anything, or you can pass the R flag. We'll be passing the W flag, which means you wish to read the data. No, sorry, write the data. After opening the file, we need to pass it to the CSV dot writer, and we type the CSV underscore file. Now we can, yeah, or we can type it, name it writer. I'll name it writer. So this is what we're doing. Now you could, if you wish, to do it this way by just doing it this way. However, there is a slight benefit of doing it by creating a variable that stores the file handler, and then we pass the handler to the CSV writer. I'll show you the benefit in a minute. So this is what we're getting right now. Now when we are writing to a CSV file, we write it in terms of rows. So first thing we need to do is we need to write the headers. Headers are basically, you can think of them as the title. So at the top of the CSV file, we'll have 3 data columns, which will tell us the data that everything inside that column stored. So let's write writer dot write row. This is the method that we'll be using, and this takes in an iterable. So you can pass it anything that we can loop over. I'll be passing it a list of items. So we'll be storing the title, the summary, and the links. So this is done. Now all I need to do is create a row and then type it. So row, and then row is equals to the title, summary, and the link. Now after writing the rows, what we need to do is we need to close the file. It's always important to close an open resource, because this could result in memory leak if we don't close it. So this is why when I said that there is a certain benefit of storing the name of the file or the file pointer or file handler, whatever you call them, in a variable and then using it later. So we'll close the file, and that way the information that we wish to write to the file gets stored. Now let me run this again. Hope I haven't made any mistakes so far, and it works. And this is the CSV file, assuming all the data is written into it, and it is. Now one thing that you are noticing is there's a line break or an empty line in all of these between all of these titles. So let's just look at the file. Yeah, so as you can see that there's when you're writing it to a CSV file, it's leading to an empty file. So the reason for that is, whenever we're writing inside a CSV file, we can just instruct it to not create a new line. So here you go. It means that for a new line you don't put anything. So because we are writing using the writer, this also enters creates a new line, and this also creates a new line. So that's why there are two new lines. So for that, after doing that, we go py scrap.py. So it works. And now if we look at the file, yeah, so it's working correctly. So this is the blog post, this is the summary, and these are the links. Now one thing that you're noticing is that the links are not properly formatted, so we are only getting the end of the link. We're not getting the entire website like localhost 3000 colon 3000 / link, the link that we can just click and go to the website. So to fix that, we'll write some code, but why we're getting that is because I'll show you. So usually links are not written as absolute links, they are written as relative links. So a relative link is basically link of the current site and append that link that we have. So we have article_1.html and we're appending it to localhost colon 3000. But in the HTML tag, we're only given /article. So if you wish to get the entire link, which is this, what we can do is we can again write some code. So this is basically just some normal string concatenation. We get this is the link. Now this is where we wish to insert the link. Then we use the string.format method that is built into Python. And then always remember to close the CSV file, because if you don't close it, you might get a permission error. As you can see here, permission error, because the file is open, we are not allowed to edit it. So yeah, I don't wish to save it. After I've closed it, I run this again. It works perfectly. And now if I open it, and as you can see, we are getting the link as we wanted. So now if I wish to, I can just click on it. Unable to open because, yeah, okay. So you can't open the link from Excel, but you can open it, I think, from Visual Studio. Let me see if I can do it. Yeah. So here's the entire link. Now another problem is that they're adding 2 slashes. I made some mistake in the code. Let me just rectify that. So yeah, and now let's scrape it again. Yeah, don't save it. Py scrape.py, and there it is. So the links are perfectly aligned. They are, yeah, so it's working as we expect it to work. So I hope that covers it. Is there any question?
So, Anirudh, in the beginning of this session, or maybe before creating that scrap file,
Yes.
you have shown us to like installing a light server. So, what is the
Yes.
use of that? If I'm
Okay.
writing a Python program, I'm running on a different machine.
Yes. So light server, okay, so this is the HTML page that I have. I created it. It's called index.html. Now if I wish to open it, I can open it like this. This will just open it on my local web page. But since I wanted to show you how to get the information from a website, now for that you need to send a request to a web server. So this is why I'm using light server. Light server is nothing but just a dummy offline server. It's a server that you're running on your own PC. This is why we're getting the web address as localhost and the port is 3000. So if I want to not do that, and if I were to use like the HTML page that I have created, so for that I'll need to, instead of using the request page, I can just open it, give it the file name index.html, and I think this is how it works. I'm not exactly sure. I'll see. Py scrape.py. Okay. So oh yeah, data.csv is open. Let me close it. Don't save. Py scrape.py, and it works. So the reason why I used light server is because I wanted to show you how to get the information from a website. But since I created the web page on my local machine, I needed to serve it using a server, a local server, if you will. So this is exactly why I use light server. If you don't wish to use light server and experiment it on your own web pages that you have created and have it with you, you can just use the code that I just wrote. Instead of using the requests library, all you can do is just open the file inside the BeautifulSoup and then type in the name index.html or whatever the name of the file that you are using, provided that they are both in the same folder, the scraping file as well as the HTML file. And then you can just parse it as normal. Now I'm using the request library so that I can show you how to get the information from the server. Please paste the code in the chat box. So do you wish for me to paste the entire code? If you want, I can paste the entire code. Yeah. So this is the entire code. So I pasted the entire code, and let me just paste the one with the this one also. Okay. So I pasted the one with the request library and also the one with the HTML page. I think this should help you. You can use the request library as well as the normal page. Now you can use light server if you wish to, and if you're using light server, you can use the request library. If you're not using the light server and you're using a local HTML page, then you can open it inside the BeautifulSoup. And lastly, if you're using it on any other website, do make sure that they have not asked you to not do that, because that could be difficult for them to maintain the server, and it could also have legal repercussions. So is there any other question?
So the quick question is, for example, I'm reading a file or maybe a website called discoverychannel.com.
Sure.
Now, do I need to install light server or
no? You
not?
don't need to. Yeah, sure. You do not need to install light server. Light server is just for serving the web page locally. So if you are getting the information from a website that's online, like you said, discoverychannel.com, in that case, you do not need light server at all. What you need to do is you just need to type in the name of the website here. So in our case, because I'm using light server, I have localhost :3000. Now, since you said you have discoverychannel.com, I say discovery-channel.com, and then you edit the code as per the structure of the HTML page that you get and the information that you need. And after that, you just run the code and it will work perfectly without any light server requirement. The reason I use light server is only because I needed to show you how to use the requests library to get information from a website. And I think, yeah, that's it. Any other question?
Okay, yes, I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question over here. So for a production use, means let's suppose in a production, I want to scrap a website of my competitor, and
Yes.
here they have multiple pages, definitely like Amazon. So I need to go to the every page of Amazon and get the price so that I can list my price. Just comparing with him or doing any data science. So for that, do I need to give all the URL one by one, and how I do it recursively in multiple pages? You got my question, right?
Yeah, sure. So there are multiple ways of doing it. As far as I'm aware, Amazon, I think, provides an API. I'm not sure. You can look it up. But even if it doesn't, there are multiple ways of doing it. One way you can do it is just scrape the entire website for links, store all the links in a CSV file, and then use a Python script to take links from that CSV file and then scrape that website. Another way you can do it is instead of storing it inside a what should I say? Inside a CSV file, what you can do is use it use it recursively. So for instance, let's say that you find a link on the website. So what you do is you go to that link and then scrape that website. So instead of just scraping the website that you have right now, just the first link that you see, you open a request to that website web link here, and then start scraping that. But you do need to be aware of the fact that when you are scraping a website, you need to take a look at the structure of the website and then use it. So for this website that we have, we know the structure. We know that okay, the information we need is inside a div class with inside a div tag with a class post, inside an h3, and inside that there is an a tag with the text as the information that we need. Now, if you're just recursively going through any links, then you may not know the structure of the page and your code will throw errors. So to avoid doing that, just make sure that you know the structure of the page, and you can do it either recursively, you can store it inside a CSV file and then use it that way, or I think the better way of doing it would be using Scrappy, because it allows you to create a web crawler which does the exact same thing that you are asking. Now, Scrappy is a much more full-fledged framework. So if you wish to use it, you should go through the tutorials as I'm showing right now. It shows you the how to create a Scrappy project, which is here, how to create a spider, how to run your spider, and the spider is exactly what you are asking about. It scrapes entire website. Also, make sure that Amazon.com or any other website that you are scraping doesn't uh, prohibits you from scraping the website. So look at their user. I think they have a user's license or something. So that will also contain that information, and robots.txt file is also there. So you can use either one. So I'd suggest that you use Scrappy for creating crawlers and going through multiple links, or you can use the technique that I just told you about getting all the links, storing them in a CSV file, and then one by one scraping all of the links. Either way, the information that you get will be there, but just make sure that the website that you're crawling is not prohibited and the structure of the HTML is known to you.
Okay, so you are saying the structure needs to be known before, right?
Yeah.
Is there any intelligent algorithm, like we have learned so many in data science, that can help us predicting that in any case that I don't have to know? Because if I want to scrap a whole Amazon website, it is very difficult for me to go to their every web page, remember where they have a tag, and then code for the same. It will be very lengthy code. So do we have any algorithm for the same that we do and one go and that take care of that 90%?
Yeah. So not that I'm aware of, but one thing that's I think helpful here is that when you are, if you're trying to scrape Amazon, you're scraping it for the information about the prices of the just trying to scrape it for the prices of the items that they're selling. Now, when you look at Amazon.com, it let me show you Amazon. Now, one thing is, let's say that I wish to look at all the shoes. Yes, the shoes under 499. I get this website, and now if I wish to get the price of all the shoes, I can just take the link that I have here, inspect this. This is inside a span with the price of a price dash a dash price dash 4. So I can scrape this website, or if I have all the links for all the shoes, I can just open them, and price will always be inside a link with the span, inside a span with the ID of price block or price. So what you can do is you can just get the link of all the websites, look at the ID or the class that you wish to get the information from, and then just use it that way. So just take a look at span instead of getting a div with a class post. What we want is we want a span with either a class of a size, medium, a color, a price block buying price string, or with an ID of price block out R price, and that way you can get the information of all the pages. Now, as for the algorithm, I don't think I'm aware of any of such intelligent algorithms that can just assume the structure of the page and extract the information that you want it to extract. You could probably use a regular expression or stuff like that, but it would be very difficult, and regular expressions are very computationally expensive. So either you can create a web crawler, or you can use the already known structure of the website and then get the information.
So for web crawler also, we need to give the structure, right? We need to know structure beforehand, correct?
The structure, but one thing that web crawlers do is that they can recursively look at the other links that you provide them as well. So this is why web crawlers are like, for instance, Google has a web crawler. Now it looks at the website, and stores all the information that it can get, that it needs from the website. So for instance, there are meta tags, there are title tag, body tag, and if it finds those tags, it will store the information about those tags inside its database, and then recursively look at all the links that that website has to get a better idea of what this website is all about. So that is what a crawler or spider or a scroller or a crawler or spider is. Now scraper is basically that we just created, just a look at a single website, get the information from that website, and that's it. You can create a spider out of that BeautifulSoup library, but it would be more difficult. So I'd suggest you use Scrappy for creating a crawler. But if it's just one web page that you need to get information from, then you can use BeautifulSoup.
Okay. One last question. Can we pass the username and password as well with request if the site
Uh,
is
yeah.
password?
So this is, I think, a question similar to the forms question that we got earlier. So username and password, if you need to pass in, then I would suggest that you should use what should I say? A Selenium. Selenium is a web automation tool. So it will open the browser, enter the username and password that you tell it to enter, and then click the button and then log in. Now, usually the information that you wish to get is gotten through either an API or through a website. If the information that you need to get is behind a login screen, then I think it's safe to assume that the creator of the website doesn't wish for you to get the information, because if it were a public information like the one that we just used, like blog posts and stuff like that, so you can easily crawl that. But if it's not public information, it's information private to a specific user, even if it's used, then I don't think they allow crawling for that. So getting information from by putting in username and password is not really something that you do with a web scraper. You just look at a public web page that's available without providing any information, and then you just get that. If you wish to get
So
information from, yeah.
so you mean to say if I need to scrap Facebook and with
Yes.
my login user ID and password, that should not be also allowed. Means that is
Yeah,
also not allowed, right?
that's actually not allowed. That's
Okay.
not should be allowed. That's not allowed. You can't do that. You can maybe write a script that uses Selenium to open the browser on your behalf and then enter the username and password, and then you can look at it inside the Selenium instance. But web scraping is not really about that. So I don't think you can do that.
Okay, got it.
Anirudh, so
Sure.
quick question. So, for example, if I'm like scrolling through like a particular website, for example, um, Amazon, if it
Yeah.
allows me to get the data, for example, there might be a multiple pages or multiple links with the product
Yes.
name of say Puma, and I
Yes.
want to know that within the price range for today deals within the price range of say 2000 to 5000, what
Yeah.
all categories of shoes are available with the brand name Puma. How do I write a code for that, or what
So
are the steps to get the data?
sure. Okay. So one thing, as far as I can understand, you are saying that you need to filter the data and then get the data for that filter. So for instance, you are saying Puma shoes, right?
Correct. It's like
So
a product name Puma, and
yeah,
I want to know what all brand category or the name of those shoes with the Puma brand, which is available between 2000 to 5000 today. And I want to
so
extract the data for that.
so one thing you can do is firstly you can go to the Amazon website yourself, then search for Puma shoes like I have done. I hope you can see on the screen. So after that, what you can do is you are looking for something within the price range that you want. So you can filter it according to that. Let's say that I want a shoe with a size 4. Okay. Now this URL is what you need. If I type this URL here, I'll get exactly the same thing that I wanted to get previously. So you can scrape it by getting first of all this URL, then looking at the structure. Now on this page you will only get uh, the shoes which are labeled as Puma shoes with the price range that you either the price range. I've chosen the size as the filtering factor. So the size 4 and the name Puma, you will get that, and from there you can begin scraping by looking at the structure of the HTML page. So I want to get information about all the, yeah. So this is, I can just look at this, yeah. S expand X corner responder. This is the class. You can just look at the structure of the page and extract the information about the price range or the current deal that's going on or whatever. So in the current range, we have the price A dash price dash whole as 2,123. So what you need to do is you need to first go to the page, enter the filtering information, go to the copy the website's address. This website address contains only the name and information about the products which are inside the filtering criteria that you provided, and then you can scrape this web address. So that way you can do it.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions?
So is there any
and
API available to get all the navigation path of the entire website? For example, I mean, all the pages are organized on a website with different navigation path, right? So at a website level, if you want to capture all the details,
yes.
Do we have an API?
So maybe this is also crawling recursively. So let's say that you go to Amazon as well. So usually all the links that you need to use are on the front page of let's say Amazon or any other. So for instance, if I want to, these are all this is the navigation that you wish to get the information from. So you can, again, like I said, just you can again just look at the HTML content. That's all the HTML tags with the class of H menu, and inside them we have all of the information that you need. So you can do it that way. Now if you are asking me that is there any other way that we can just know the structure of the entire website, some like for instance, how many web pages are there, what are the folders inside which folder, what HTML page is there, and we need to scrap all of them. This is what web crawlers are for. Now you can use web crawlers as well. Also some of the websites do provide information about the structure of the website. I in the about section, sometimes it's a file that they have, so you can do it that way as well. However, if you wish to scrape the entire website and not just information from one web page, I'd suggest you use Scrappy for that, to create a spider and then crawl the entire website with all the links that you can get. Or if you're using BeautifulSoup, just get all the links that you can that are of this website's domain. So all the links that start with amazon.in, if I'm scrapping Amazon, and then scrap all those websites, all those web pages. Sorry. And that way you can do it as well. There is no, I don't think there's an API that allows you to do it just to type the name of the website and will get you all the file structure. There may be one, I haven't used one so far.
Okay.
Okay. Any other question? The question here is, do we need to extract the data one by one for each item? So yes, you do need to extract the information like we have done here. The best way to do it, as far as I can tell you, is just to extract the information about one item first, and then do it for all the items present on the page. Because the items have similar structure, we can just use the same code, and that way we get the information. So for instance, we needed to get information about all the posts that way. So we loop over all the posts and then get information about all of them one by one, and then store it inside the CSV file. So yes, you do need to do it.
Anirudh, that reminds me to ask you one more question, that whenever like we gone through a particular structure of a website, I need to create that many variable to read the data and export it to my CSV file in a similar manner so I can use it. Is that correct?
Yeah. So okay. So yes. So you do need. So for instance, let's say that whenever you're scraping a website, you are usually scraping it to get the information about a particular thing. So a website is, as far as I can tell, not extremely huge. So for instance, even on an Amazon web page, there are only going to be 10 items, 15, 20, 100. So what you can do is you need information about the price. So like you need the information about price. So all you need to do is just go soup.findAll span with the class r price. This will get you the price of all the items on that page, and then you just need to get the price of item, that item dot txt, and that way you just need to create one variable to get the information about all the elements on the page. Now, as far as your question about do I need to get the information about all the, or do we need to store information about all the variables? Yes, you need to store information of all the things that you need inside a variable. Now, if you don't wish to store all the information, you can just write it directly. But even for that, you need to create a row and all. So I would suggest that when you're scraping a website, try to scrape small portion of it or portion that repeats itself. So for instance, in our website, there are 6 posts. We are scraping just one post, and this post structure is repeating itself. If for instance there were like a million posts, I won't have to change my code in any way, shape or form. It will work just fine. Just the CSV file would be a bit long. So if you wish to do it that way, I would suggest that just look at the repeating element, get the information that you need about one element, and then just run it inside a for loop or a while loop or whatever loop you wish to choose, and then write it inside that. And one other question we have is that if we have Wikipedia, there where is no data in there, only article, then how do we do that? Okay, so let's go for a Wikipedia article. Python Wikipedia. So the information that you are asking for is that if we have an entire block of text, then how do we extract information from that? So Wikipedia does actually have an HTML structure. So if you look into it, let's say for instance, I wish to extract just the history portion of it, or just the headlines of all the portions of this article. So I think all of them have MW headline. Yeah, so this also has MW headline as the class. So you just get all the titles of it, the MW headline. What I'm saying here is that even if the page looks like it's an entire block of text and it doesn't have HTML structure, there will be some. Now, if you wish to just extract this paragraph from the entire HTML, from this entire block of text, you can use, there are several ways. You can use a regular expression, which is used to extract a pattern, text matching a pattern inside an entire block of text. Or what you can do is you can just take this information, split it using the /n. So which means that you want to create a list of all these paragraphs and then just take the last item of the paragraph, provided that the contents structure has not changed and the last paragraph is what you want. And you can do it that way as well. So if you're using it on Wikipedia or anything like that, you can just use it this way.
And can we do vice versa? For example, if I'm developing my own website and I have like 10,000 records which is there to upload on that website, so unlike that I'm reading from a website, I can simply write to that website so that it goes uploaded in one go, and I can have all the data available on my website.
Okay, so as far as I can understand, you are saying that if you have a website that you need to enter some information inside a form. Let's say that you have a website and a CSV file. The CSV file contains all the information about employees, and there is a form on the website that you need to insert all the information into. Can we use web scraping for that? Is that the question?
Correct.
Okay. So again, like I said, the web scraping is not really for that. For that, you need to use something called Selenium. Let me just show you. Selenium. So this is browser automation. You can use Selenium. There's also a Selenium package for Python. So if you're quite good with Python or like using Python, you can just use Selenium for that. Now you can just tell it to do it what you want it to do. So for instance, you give it the URL of the website. Tell it, okay, there's a form inside the website. I wish for you to get the record from a CSV file, enter the name of the employee and whatever it is according to the information that you get from the CSV file, and then press the submit button and then wait for 10 minutes. Then do it again, then do it again, then do it again. Now you can do it this way. Selenium is built exactly for that. As you can see, we have one for Python as well. So Selenium is built exactly for that, but web scraping is not about that. Web scraping is about getting the information from the web page, a public web page, not about sending information to a web page. So we work with responses, not with requests. This is why we're using the request library to get the response from this website, convert it to text, and then BeautifulSoup can use it. So if you plan to use it to submit information to a form, I'll suggest that you use Selenium. I think we do have I think courses on Selenium as well. So if you're interested in that, then maybe you should refer those. But web scraping is not really about
I just have one question. How to
that. Sure.
deploy this thing in production? Means you have written this code locally, and I want to
Yes.
deploy it, maybe automate it, maybe running after each one day or something, anything. So how to deploy this
Okay.
thing in production?
So the first thing that you need to understand that this is not a production ready code. Okay, this works fine, but if you're scraping a big website, I suggest that you use object oriented programming. That way you can create a class that will have methods that will allow you to scrape websites. Now after that you have made the production ready code and you're sure that it's going to work fine, then what you can do is either deploy it on a Linux virtual machine online, like using Azure, Amazon Web Services, or any other PC. If you want to run it on other PCs, if you want to run it on your PC, then you need to keep your PC running for the entire day or for forever, since it's a production server. But if you wish to run it on any other website, you can use Linux, you can use Windows or any other web server operating system, and then put this file of yours, which is scrap.py, whatever you call it, depends on you, and then put it inside that virtual machine. And inside that virtual machine, you can write, there are Python extensions that allow you to schedule the execution of the scripts. Or also, I think in Linux, there's something called cron jobs, cronjobs. So cron jobs are built exactly for that. They schedule a command or script on your server to run automatically at a specified time and a date. So for instance, let's say that you have a web scraper, you wish to run it every hour and put the information inside a CSV file. So you can just paste this scrape.py file or any of the files that you have detailed the scraper in, put it inside a Linux server that is maintained by Azure or Amazon Web Services or any other service provider. That doesn't really matter. Just make sure that it's running all day and then schedule a cron job. Now, scheduling a cron job is out of the scope for this session, but you can look it up. It's fairly easy. Just opening the cron tab and adding some file items, it works that way. So just schedule a cron job to run this file every 1 hour or however so you wish to choose, and then do it that way. You can probably do it that way also.
So we can't install this in Windows machine. Means let's
No,
suppose I have a product.
yes, we can install it. We can in Windows. I think there's something else, or many cloud providers like Azure do provide you with facilities to run scripts regularly. So maybe you can use that. But for Windows, I'm not really aware if there's a command that allows you to schedule a running of a command. Or maybe
I
you
think there's a
can write. Yeah.
Windows should be able to use. Okay, fine, got it. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Sure. Also, I think maybe there is you can write a Python script which is running in the background continuously, and then every hour it's running that script. So you can run it that way as well. But I don't think there's a command inside the Windows operating system like there is in Linux, which allows you to run a job or a script within a specified interval repeatedly.
Can we append this code, I mean web scraper code in the model building, just like I'm going to create
Machine
one
learning.
model over there? Yes, machine learning, right?
Yeah. So yes, this code can be put in any of the more models if you wish to. But I think the way it works is that you first get the information from the website. You can store, like for instance, we got from the website and we've stored it inside the CSV file, and then we use that file, that information that you've gotten from the web scraping for training your models. So you can, or if you wish to, you can just get the entire information and not store it and just use it directly. But I would suggest that you store it inside a CSV file, because that way you will know what information you use to train your model. So you can do it if you wish to just get the information from the website and then store it in, and then start using it without storing it inside a CSV file and start using it to train your model. But it would be better, in my opinion, to just use it to store the information inside a CSV file and then use that CSV file to train the model. Okay, guys.
So this brings us to the end of this session. So if you have any queries, please comment it down below and we'll reach out to you immediately. Also guys, do subscribe to our channel to never miss an update from Intellipaat. Thank you.